TV.
Hello and welcome to the CNBC TV 18 special. I'm Shireen Bhan. Paying service charge at a restaurant is optional. The government issued this clarification, actually more an advisory a few days ago. Now, generally, restaurants charge anywhere between 5 to 20% on customers for their service rendered. Should it be done away with? Do you actually have the option not to pay? Now, the various industry bodies of hotels and restaurants are divided. Even consumer activists are split right down the middle. Joining us now to discuss all of that is Dilip Datwani, the President of Hotel and Restaurant Association of Western India, Vaibhav Gaggar, the Managing Partner at Gaggar and Associates. Also joining us is consumer rights columnist Pushpa Giramaji. Thanks very much for joining us on the show. Vaibhav, let me start by asking you. Now, this is an advisory that has been issued by the Consumer Affairs Ministry, the central government's Consumer Affairs Ministry, and this advisory basically says that this is its observation or its advice is based on feedback that it's actually got from the Hotel and Restaurants Association. So what should we make of this?
So as I see it, the Hotels Association has taken a clear stand to say that, you know, this is a pure discretion for the customers to pay or not, and therefore it's not being imposed. At that stage, the ministry has taken a step back and said if it is not a controversy, then we don't need to dilate further on that issue, because it is pro-consumer, a discretion has been provided, and if they choose to pay, then they shall be paying. So in one way, they've tried to end the controversy. I do, however, believe that, as you pointed out at the beginning,
does it really end the controversy? But does it really end the controversy, Vaibhav? You know, forget the fact that there is divisions, but does it really end the controversy? Because this is a mere advisory. I mean, the Consumer Affairs Ministry is not saying that charging service charge as of today is illegal.
What it seems to be suggesting is that it's asking everyone to make it public, all the restaurants, etc., to make it public, and also under the consumer regime, it's asking the various departments to actually publicize it. So it's saying the clarity is there. It's almost like an estoppel where the Hotel Association is saying that we're not going to be charging it compulsorily. If there is no conflict, then there need not be a decision. You know, if there would have been a conflict and it would have been raised, where they would have been required to adjudicate upon it, would have been a different issue where an order would have been required. But here, to that extent, the Hotel Federation seems to have taken a stand. It's not compulsory. So what does the ministry then come out and do?
I'm sorry to say we have never said that. In fact, we've written to them that it is up to the members, the restaurants, whether they want to charge or not. And there's nothing illegal about that. We only have to mention it, that we are charging service charge. Whichever establishment is doing it, they are supposed to mention it very clearly. This place is charging you 10% or 5% service charge. So the consumer is very much aware what is being, charged. And it's a separate charge by itself. We are not hiding anything.
It is No, you may not be hiding anything, Mr. Datwani, but the government in its notification or advisory or statement, whatever you would like to call it, says that it is discretionary, it is optional, it is up to the consumer if they choose to pay the service charge or not. But if it's already coming onto my bill, what recourse do I have as a consumer? I mean, do I now tell you, no, go back? I don't want to pay this service charge, then just leave the tip option available to the consumer. Why do you include that in the bill if, as the Consumer Affairs Ministry is saying, it is optional, voluntary and discretionary?
It is wrong. That's what we have written to the Ministry of this, that you are supposed to take it back. It's a wrong advisory. The courts have held it that we can charge service charge. We only have to mention it in our menu cards and very prominently say that, yes, we are charging service charge. Then the patron has to decide whether the patron wants to patronize that restaurant or hotel or not. We are very clear about it.
You keep referring that.
And this service charge, mind you, is distributed between the waiters right up to the dishwasher. It is not being kept with the management. We are distributing in the whole staff.
We don't know that. We don't know that.
It is there. There is a judgment from the ESIC department in one of the cases where they say distribution of service charge was supposed to be levied a tax, an ESIC charge, and which the court has upheld. It has been distributed between the staff, so you cannot charge. It's not wages. It's an extra this.
You know,
So if
I
it's
hold no
extra
brief
and it's-
for any part. I'm sorry.
Yes, Vaibhav, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I hold no brief for any side on this, having represented hotels or restaurants or consumers in the past. But there's a judgment of 1976 Supreme Court where they have in fact said that it is not known whether the tip over there, the issue was tip, whether the tip was in fact being given forward or it was not, how it was being distributed, what are the methodologies which are being adopted, and this related to the Rambagh Palace. So it's a quoted judgment of the Supreme Court. What my friend over here is saying is a different judgment. The ESI one is in the tax regime. Very, very different context altogether. I think that the core issue over here that we need to see is, can a person be forced to pay a service charge? Can a person be forced to pay a tip? I think that's the centrifugal issue over here. Not whether it's to be taxed or not, whether it gets distributed.
One second.
Yeah.
Dilip, let Vaibhav finish his point. I'll give you an opportunity to speak. Vaibhav, complete the point that you were making.
So whether the legalities of this may be very different from the societal need of it. Globally, a tip is given whenever you go to a restaurant or if a service is provided. Somewhere, if our community or our society is not respecting that, that's wrong. But legally speaking, can it be forced down my gullet? If I'm going to a restaurant, can I be told, hey, listen, my way or the highway, either you pay 10% on top or you don't? Then it becomes a tax. It's not really a charge anymore. And the fact that these costs are already inbuilt is the reason why a particular food item may cost you 10x of its cost, because of the various services which are being provided already. So it is already factored in. I'm just saying it's a discretion that should be provided and not treated as a tax. This charge is being imposed as a tax, not as a discretion today.
Okay, Dilip, respond to that, and I think that is the popular sentiment as well, and that is what is reflected in the advisory that's been issued by the Consumer Affairs Ministry, that you're imposing this almost as if imposing a tax on the consumer. This is not an optional charge any longer. When you incorporate it into the bill, you don't give me a choice.
Very right, you are very right. Vaibhav, try to understand one thing. We Indians basically are very bad tippers. You will agree with that. Sir, please comment.
Two sides to a coin.
Please comment, sir, please.
Well, I don't know. Societally, as I said, if we are, then I think that's a society issue and it should be improved.
But that can't be the argument,
And
sir.
on the contrary, actually, yeah. You know, I think a lot of us tip very well as well.
That can't be the argument, Mr. Datwani.
So I don't think you can have a medium on that.
Indians are poor tippers, that the Hotels and Restaurants Association will take it upon itself to impose an additional tax because you believe that Indians are poor tippers.
Shirin, first and foremost, I want to make it very clear. Our association does not say anything to our members whether you charge or you don't charge. It's up to each establishment what they do. We don't run their businesses. We are here just to represent them, okay? We don't tell them what you have to charge, what are the rates you're going to keep. Another thing is, it is up to the establishment to decide. Now, if it's going to affect their business, it's more of a dynamic of the business. If I'm going to get my clients back, I'm charging service charge, I'm mentioning it, it's up to you. You go there, you feel it's too expensive, you may go away, right? So how do you say I'm forcing anybody? I'm not forcing anybody. It's just like a contract.
Yes, but
it's just like a contract between the customer and the establishment.
Mr. Datwani, the fact that when I am presented with a bill, you don't ask me then, it's already incorporated into my bill.
It's already mentioned in the menu. We charge, service charge is charged at so and so, 5%, 10%, okay? Exclusive of taxes, it's mentioned in the menu. When you open the menu, you order something. Another thing is, when you go to a restaurant or an establishment, you know for sure that what is going to happen over here. What are the rates?
Mr. Datwani, let me ask you a simple question, sir. This advisory has now been issued by the Consumer Affairs Ministry. You're saying that you're going to write to the Consumer Affairs Ministry asking them to withdraw.
We've already
written to them, asking them specifically to do what? To withdraw this advisory?
Yes, because it's not illegal. It's
on
not
the basis
business
of what?
It's not the business of the government to tell me how to run my business. Otherwise, next they'll tell me how much to charge for my dish. Are you going to tell me how to run my business?
Okay.
No. You charge me VAT. I am paying VAT. I am paying service charge. I am paying service tax. I am a collector. I collect and I pass it on either to the government or to the staff. Only the hue and cry over here is with some people just making it a big thing that, oh, we are being forced to charge. There are places which they don't charge. You can go there. You come there of your own choice.
So let me ask you, Mr. Datwani, you haven't obviously, I'm assuming, heard from the Consumer Affairs Ministry just yet?
No, not yet.
So what is the situation at this point in time at restaurants, at hotels? Because the ministry has asked you to make this information very widely and publicly available to consumers. Are you facing trouble already at hotels and restaurants where consumers may be saying that we refuse to pay this?
Correct, we are. That is what, it's created a confusion and it's creating problems for us. They did not take the stakeholders into this. Just one member, one association. They just can't approach one association which has got 200 odd members. You see, we are the apex body, Federation of Hotel and Restaurant Association of India, having 4 regional bodies. We represent the whole of India. Okay. That's what we have written to them.
So what is the next course of action, Mr. Datwani? Do you, as the president of the Hotel and Restaurants Association of India, which you claim is the apex body, Western India, do you intend to take this matter to court, sir?
I really don't know. We first written to the ministry. Let us see how it turns out. I mean, if they take it back, the advisory, well and good. Or I think we will have to take a legal recourse. Because we are in our rights to you see, you try to understand. We are in our right to charge service charge. Okay. Now it's up. We have to only mention that we charge, and which is always done. You must have noticed in the menu card there is always there that it is exclusive of taxes and service charges. Or we write very clearly, we charge service charge 5%, 10%, whatever it is. Nobody can deny that. And we are advising our members to kindly see that it is mentioned on the menu card and may be displayed prominently. We can't keep boards now. There are so many boards coming up now.
Okay. So Vaibhav, as we started the program with saying that this doesn't actually end the controversy. In fact, the controversy rages on. There's more confusion perhaps post the notification that's been issued by the Consumer Affairs Ministry. But let's look at this in law. And, Mr. Datwani keeps harking back to a Supreme Court judgment. You brought up a different Supreme Court judgment of 1976. If we look at what the Consumer Protection Act says, a trade practice which for the purpose of promoting the sale, use or supply of any goods or for the provision of any service adopts any unfair method or deceptive practice, it is to be treated as an unfair trade practice. Now, if I go purely by what Mr. Datwani is saying, that we mention it, it's there, it's not hidden, it's not deception, and so on and so forth, then maybe they're not falling foul of the Consumer Protection Act. But legally, does this hold water?
So, this raises actually quite a couple of very interesting legal issues, jurisprudential issues from both sides. On the one hand, what Mr. Datwani is saying, that this is a contract between two parties. We're disclosing it. There's nothing illegal about it. There's nothing deceptive about it. And so if you want to take it, you take it. Otherwise, please don't come my way or the highway. The other flip side of it is that if all of them get together and they say that, okay, you know what, you have to pay this, otherwise you can't possibly enter a restaurant. It's very easy to say it's an option that has been given and not a mandate that's been given to all the restaurants. Do we logically really believe that any restaurant is not going to be charging service charge while the others are going to be charging it and be left out of it? So effectively what we are saying is, customers, don't walk in. It is going to be mandatorily, put on you. All of us as restaurants are going to be doing it, or most of us are going to be doing it, and it is really not a choice. It's not a consumer choice left anymore. To me, it also becomes a serious, antitrust in the sense of a competition issue, because can a body of services take such a stand? You're in effect saying, do it my way. If you don't do it my way, don't come in. That is not how the consumer regime is built. The edifice of the consumer regime is to say they are there because of the consumers. They've got to be fair to the consumers. It's not just deception. If I put it boldly to say, all right, you know what, you're going to pay 100 rupees for the food, you're going to pay another 100 rupees towards charges extra, which we don't know how they're going to be dissipated. Why don't they just put it in the main bill then? I mean, at the end of the day, you're giving X as the cost to the consumer. Let that cost be then distributed. They're already paying the fee, the dearness allowance, all of that. So why this attitude or this stubbornness is one question. But again, I think Mr. Datwani's got a point. Jurisprudentially speaking, to say there is a freedom of contract. Someone doesn't want to come to me, they don't have to come to me. We are giving them an option. We're disclosing it loud and clear. I think it's got to be tested out. There are things to be said on both sides. To me, prima facie, there are anti-competitive concerns that then need to be looked at, which would impliedly affect consumers in a negative way.
Vaibhav, can I say something?
Okay, Mr. Datwani, very quickly, I need to take a break, so very quickly respond to that and we'll continue then with the conversation.
Two years back, the Competition Commission of India had sought certain information on the subject, and which we had replied to them, and after that, nothing else. So we had already replied to them. The service charge is legal.
No. What were the questions asked and what was the response given? And did you get an all clear from the CCI is the question, not the fact that they haven't responded to you yet.
They haven't responded yet.
So they haven't given you an all clear. Let's not mislead or let's not confuse the issue. So the CCI may not have responded, but they haven't given you an all clear.
Shireen, do you expect them to give me an all clear? Tell me one thing.
I don't know. I'm asking
it's
you.
2 years. It's 2 years back.
Question.
If they don't answer, what is the meaning? It's an all clear. There is no objection.
I don't think it's as simple. I don't think it's as simple as that, Vaibhav. Is it as simple as that?
Deemed,
the CCI has chosen not to respond. It's deemed to.
I don't even know the questions. I don't even know the questions which were asked, the answers which were provided, what the status of the case is, and investigation, if it was even ordered. I have no idea what you're talking about in that case.
I have got it after the break. I can share it with you, what they had asked me. Asked our association.
Okay, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
That's a good idea, sir. Let's take a break, and when we return, we'll continue this conversation. You're watching the CNBC TV 18 special. You've been served. The controversy rages on over the charge of service charge. That and more when we get back. Well, welcome back. You're watching our special discussion here on whether or not service charge should be mandatorily imposed by hotels and restaurants on consumers. The Consumer Affairs Ministry says it's voluntary. It cannot be imposed mandatorily. If you're dissatisfied, you do not need to pay the service charge. Mr. Datwani, just before the break, we were talking about how the CCI, that's the Competition Commission of India, had raised certain queries with the Hotel and Restaurant Association. Can you take us through the exact queries that had been asked of you, and what was the response given?
I will just mention the queries. When the association came into existence, how many members there are, hotels and restaurants, what role the association plays for the benefit of the members. Now the important thing is, the number one, whether your association has issued any circulars, orders to levy service charge, okay, and whether your association has taken any action to prevent this practice. Now our answer is this. To answer the query more specifically, FHRA has neither issued any circulars, orders to levy service charge, okay, or nor does it advise its members not to charge or to charge. The other query, whether your association has taken any action to prevent this practice, as stated above, FHRA does not interfere in the internal business of its members and running of the day-to-day affairs, and therefore it does not have the power authority to prevent its member from levying, charging any service charge, or in fact ask them to levy the same. FHRA does not go into all these. Yeah.
Okay, so you're essentially saying that queries were raised. You as the association responded saying that you haven't issued any sort of advisory to hotels and restaurants asking them to charge a certain amount or not charge a certain amount. But let me also bring in Anil Sood and Anand Patwardhan, both consumer activists, into this conversation. And Mr. Patwardhan, let me start by asking you, more confusion seems to have now been created on the back of the issue of the advisory from the Consumer Affairs Ministry. How do you read this? Has this armed consumers more than earlier, or in fact has this led to more confusion and controversy?
Well, I think though it may have armed the consumer, it has definitely led to confusion as well. First of all, service charge that was added was always misrepresented or misunderstood as service tax, and that is when it was levied, people were paying without understanding what it is being charged for. Now things have become clearer, where a consumer has begun to understand this is service charge, is something different from service tax. So if it's a service charge, whatever you have shown on the menu card, that includes the charges for not only the food but for the ambience as well as the service that is being charged for serving that food to you. There is a question of adding service charge in addition to that is one aspect. And apart from that, people even then have a tendency to leave some tip for the waiters. So where does that service charge go? That has to go to the waiters plus the tips.
Yeah.
And from where has this started becoming something like compulsory that it gets added in the bill and people are paying without noticing it?
Mr. Patwardhan,
Yes.
first and foremost, let me clear it. It is not a new thing that it has started. Service tax has just been started last 2 years back. Service charge has been there from decades. I am sure you are also aware of that. It has not come as 2 years back, so it was
People have
never.
started understanding about it now.
No. People started misunderstanding it. And in between, there was a campaign saying that we are misrepresenting and asking for a service charge instead of service tax. We are charging a tax. They were mixing up the two. Service charge has been there
there
from
has been
decades.
that confusion. There has been that misunderstanding. Yes.
Misunderstanding it.
So, Mr. Patwardhan,
Okay. So
service charge has been there from decades.
One second. Mr. Datwani, just a second, sir. Let me bring in other voices as well. Mr. Patwardhan also with us. Mr. Patwardhan, forget the confusion over service tax and service charge. Now it's clear. The government says at least that service charge is mandatory. You have the Restaurant Hotels Association asking the government to withdraw that advisory. As a consumer, where do things stand for me?
Yes, it would be a good step because adding that or making that compulsory would not be appropriate. Why is the government bringing in something which should be additional charges? That should be left to the industry to decide. And that would depend upon the kind of ambience and service that is being provided.
Yes.
So you're okay with the fact that a service charge is being imposed by hotels and restaurants because they provide you a certain service, they provide you certain ambience and so on and so forth?
No, that is already added to the cost of the food that is served to you. In addition
So you're
to that,
then not in favor of an imposition of a service charge?
Yes.
Another point, Mr.
So
Patwardhan, another point you made is, despite there being service charge, people tend to tip. I differ there. We always look, our establishment is charging service charge, we don't pay tips. I'm sorry to say that, people don't tip. They look, oh, service charge is charged, okay. No tips. It's already covered.
Mr. Datwani, you run a business, sir. Surely you need to factor in all your overheads and all your costs into what you're charging consumers. Why then will you ask me to pay extra for ambience and crockery breakage and so on and so forth? But they're your employees, sir. They're your employees. It's like me asking somebody who walks into a television studio that I will charge you a certain amount of extra because I haven't factored that in as far as paying my own employees are concerned.
No. I am not asking. See, first and foremost, first thing I told you is we are very bad tippers. If you mention, I know it's bad in taste. I am saying that again. Okay. This must have started way back. I am talking about decades. I really don't know. But it has started from that time. In fact, if you notice, after the VAT and service tax coming in, there are establishments who have reduced it from 10% to 5%. And this service charge is distributed among the staff, not just the waiting staff. It goes to the kitchen. It goes to the people who are behind the scene. And it is just an added bonus.
Mr. Datwani, surely the prerogative of providing that bonus rests with you as the employer, sir. If you want to, why don't you charge extra on food and drinks and so on and so forth to cater for those costs? Why impose an additional service charge? That's the limited argument that I'm presenting. As an employer, I understand your need to want to provide a bonus to your employee, but why should I pay for that additionally as a consumer? If you want to include that in your business model, include that in the costs that you're already charging me for food and drinks.
Thing over here, please. If this is a service charge that we are talking about, which is a tip which goes to all the staff members and all, should there not be a discretion based on whether the customer really believes that the person deserves the tip or not? If the person has gone ahead and done a terrible job, do you still think it's right to mandatorily have 5, 10, 15, 20% for imposition on a customer as an additional factor? I mean, if the rationale behind it was someone has done it, it's a thank you. It's saying we appreciate your service, thank you, this is my discretion. This is not an imposition. There is a drastic difference between the two. And secondly, the competition angle that my friend Mr. Datwani just read out, it shows two things to me. A, they did not talk about whether service charge is right or not. In fact, the second question seemed to say there is a problem with that practice. Have you issued a direction quay that, or have you done anything to stop that?
Right.
In fact, to me, it seems that the CCI seems to prima facie believe there is a problem.
Okay, one second.
It relates to the cartel issue there.
Anil Sood wants to make a point. That you're talking about a cartelization issue as well, anti-competitive issue. Mr. Sood, go ahead.
Yeah. The Ministry of Consumer Affairs asked the Hotel Association of India about clarification on service charge. Now, Hotel Association of India is owners of the hotels. Federation of Hotel HRAWI is the body which is represented by the employees of the owners.
No, sir. No, sir.
Yes.
Please,
We are owners.
please, please listen to me now. I had been advising FHRI also. Please don't mislead anybody. Now, hold on. Now, service tax on restaurants was introduced in 2011. It's not 2 years ago. Right? Now, with the service tax, additional during this time, service charge was also introduced by quite a few restaurants under the garb of service tax. That was passed down as service tax. Okay?
Yes.
Now, what has happened, although this practice has now become so rampant that hotels, restaurants, they charge 10% or 5% or 15% or 20% of service charge, out of which 40% is retained by the owner and 60% is distributed among the staff. This is also the practice.
Mr. Sood, are you also a hotel owner that you know so much, sir?
Boss, I know the hotel industry like back of my hand.
So then you are misinformed,
sir.
I'm telling. You are saying FHRA is represented by managers or employees, which is wrong totally.
Please,
gentlemen,
please check with Mr.
Yes, go ahead, Mr.
Check
Sood.
with Mr. Kapoor.
Who are they, sir? Mr. Barot is a manager or an owner of a property?
You talk to me.
Mr. Datwani,
please listen.
Mr. Sood and Mr. Datwani, let's stick to the issues. Let's stick to the issues, sir. Let's not make this a personal battle. Let's stick to the issues.
What has come up, FHRI is saying that we did not issue any instructions. When it comes from top management, there is a question of issuing instructions from FHRAI, number one. Number two, now moot question arises that Ministry of Consumer Affairs has added to the confusion. For simple reason that this business of the government is not in the business of advising how to run business.
Yeah.
Now, service charge is a business decision, which is the freedom of which is guaranteed freedom under Constitution also. Now, the other question arises when everything has been factored into the cost of operations, cost of food which is being supplied, which adds a value of service also, which factors the employee wages, which factors the bonus, every expense is included. Now, moot question arises, hospitality industry has to come up, okay, we will increase our prices, we will not charge service charge.
Yeah. Yeah.
Something very plain and simple.
Sir, Mr.
So
Sood.
that there is no confusion. Please hear.
Mr. Sood.
Please hear now.
As I told
Mr.
you
Sood, I'm running out of time, sir. I'm running out of time. I request you to very quickly make your point.
Simple. Government cannot decide how to run your business. We are not living in any state. At the same time, hospitality industry has to come up with the solution. Okay, fine, fair enough. We will not charge service charge. Since we have to meet our cost, we will increase our price by so much, plain and simple.
Yeah, that was the point I was making. Pushpa Girimaji also with us. I got your point, sir. It is not rocket science. Pushpa Girimaji, very quickly weigh in on the discussion that we're having on whether this advisory issued by the Consumer Affairs Ministry has caused more confusion, and what do we do from here on?
Look, I think what the restaurants are saying, industry is saying, is totally uncalled for. I really feel that this is this is not the charge is totally uncalled for, and I really don't see why consumers should pay this amount. And I think it's time consumers took a decision, and the moment they enter a restaurant, they must ask them, is there a mandatory or a compulsory service charge you are imposing? If so, then we will not, sit in your restaurant. We will not, use your services. Then just walk out. I think it's time that consumers started protesting and, take this kind of a stand.
Okay, Mr. Datwani, I'll give you the final say. I know it's a bit unfair because you're battling against several others on this
people,
program,
yeah.
at least several other people. So I'll give you the final say, sir.
Ma'am, as I told you earlier, the association does not advise its members how to run their business, and it is basically the business dynamics which will work. If the restaurateur or hotelier feels he's been affected, the business has been affected, definitely they will take a call. So we are nobody to tell them how to run their business. They know very well. That's what I've got to say.
Okay. Finally, let me ask you, if the Consumer Affairs Ministry were not to withdraw this advisory that they've issued, do you intend to take this matter to court?
Yes, we will.
You will. All right.
To
Mr.
avoid the
Sood,
confusion, we
Anand
have to
Patwardhan,
take it.
Okay, thank you very much, Dilip, Vaibhav, Mr. Sood, Anand Patwardhan and Pushpa Girimaji for joining us here. I don't believe we've heard the last of this battle here between the Hotel and Restaurants Association and consumers, but I think there are several interesting questions of jurisprudence that this battle throws up, and hopefully over the next few weeks we will take some of those forward. Thanks very much for your time. Thank you very much for watching.